The Divine Secret Garden by John V., as in Victor, Piniella. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian whistleblower. Mr. Piniella no longer does podcast interviews, but I found his information profound enough that I wanted to go through it. And as always, I want you to know that the fact that I go through a book or the works of an author here on this channel does not mean that I necessarily 100% agree with everything that that author teaches, but it does mean that I believe that that author has some profound wisdom to share with us. And hello, Jen Fisher. You are first Jen Fisher. Just barely over Sarah Starter. So it's nice to have both of you here as people are piling into the chat room. Chris Follett, even this late at night, almost 2 a.m., but I'm very appreciative of your attention, very appreciative of you tuning in. If it's your first time or if you're a new listener, we appreciate you being here. If you are a regular listener, I still appreciate you being here, of course, and hope that you will take the chance, if you're able, to share in this work financially. You can use the super chat, the little $ right underneath here during chat, or you can go to my website, which is www.jeffreydaugherty.com, and you can contribute via my Facebook, or excuse me, my PayPal, and you don't have to have a PayPal account to do it either. So there you go. Good week coming up. We'll have Heidi Vandenberg on. We will have John Hogue on. Yes, that John Hogue. And we will also have some other important guests on, Barbara DeLong, to talk about mediumship. And I'm in the midst of planning the great event here in Clearwater, the What to Do When You're Dead, understanding the reality of death and how to navigate the after-death plane. I think we're going to do also, once we go through the teaching. Hello, Chris. I think we're also going to do a kava meditation to help people get into the habit and to learn some good skills. And we will probably offer a lunch as well. So that's what I'm thinking. Probably a session, a break, and then another session within about 3 hours, maybe 4 hours, right here in Clearwater, Florida. And we'll have people coming from all over the country for that. And I'm thinking loosely probably the first week of December. I have to coordinate with some people that'll be coming from a distance and to help to see if that would be amenable for them. But we're going to have the What to Do When You're Dead, understanding death and how to navigate the post-life realms. I think it's going to be we're spirits. We're spirits trapped in a body, and we don't talk about how to navigate once we get out of this body, which is really the bigger part of our life. So I'm here to help you do that, and this get together is going to go towards that end. So let's take a look at the Divine Secret Garden again. Let's get in. Will you be videoing the sessions for those of us that can't attend? If I can get someone to work with the camera, we may go ahead and stream it live as well, probably for a donation. That's a pretty good idea. That would be actually a really good idea. We'll see what we can do on that. So let's get into the Divine Secret Garden. And like everything I talk about here, it's not that I agree with it 100%, but I do agree that there's some good information here. And just a quick review, like the author, all of us seem we all seem to understand that there's something wrong with the world. We all seem to understand that everyone's afraid to question the Bible and the related beliefs. We have understood that most people just repeat what they hear, and very few take the time to read every word of the Bible, not to mention read it multiple times and then study it at in-depth levels, proving to themselves something nefarious coexisted within the written word. People don't know about BibleHub.com. People don't use it. And many have had the Bible explained to us as if the material was not melding with the mind properly. And that happens because it doesn't sit with your blink. It doesn't sit with your subconscious correctly, because it doesn't align with your subconscious, because it is not good information. We understand, at least on an intuitive level, that there's something missing or sadly added to the Bible as it pertains to its message. We see what Thomas Jefferson was talking about when he said, there are some instances of great minds speaking great words, but most of it is dung. And it's like going through and pulling diamonds out of dung. To my estimation, it's about 80 dung, 20 diamond, but I still think it's worth it because the diamonds are just that good. We begin to ask ourselves, how come no one else gets that? Why is there a tendency to believe that the truth is too hard to understand? Why do we sell our sovereignty and farm out our brains to say, oh, we need a priest or a pastor to tell us what's going on? There comes a time when we must be weaned. And many of us have come to that point, and many of you are coming to that point. And the Christ himself said that unless you become like a little child, it's impossible to enter the Father's kingdom. The great hidden truth of that statement is that we are actual divine children of Father and Mother. This is the message that's been lost and buried. We are actually divine children of Father and Mother, meaning we are baby Elohim, and we will grow up to be full Elohim. The answers to life and beyond are encoded within each of us, but there's another influence that misrepresents this key and causes the true children to follow a different route. One called the Bible and the God of this world, who demands strict worship and obedience in effort to steal away the actual children that are heirs to a great kingdom, to steal us away from the Father and Mother and make us slaves to his kingdom, one that's not of the Father and the Mother, and one that makes us into bondage servants, forces us to worship and bow down before a fraudulent, wrathful, jealous ruler as a God and not as a father and mother or any type of parent. No, I didn't write this, even though it seems very much like I did. I didn't write this. That's why, I guess, one of the reasons why I have such great resonance with a lot of it. So we're going to move into this and begin to study more and think more and learn more, I hope, as we get into the actual book itself. That was just the preamble. So the understanding that we are literal children of the Father and Mother God, this understanding was purposely removed from our minds under the cloak of something divine and spiritual. They tried to tell us we were being spiritual. They tried to tell us they're trying to help us, but this truth has been removed from us. And in its place, this internal connection, this literal family tie to Father and Mother God has been removed and supplanted by something they call God in a theistic world. So it's gone from a mother-father-child relationship, mother God, father God, baby God. It's gone from that to ogre and slave. And it's put us into this theistic mold. Religions, secret societies have transferred the truth of the Creator within to this Creator being an external force or some entity that exists outside of us, an impersonal God who we're not connected to. They've taken us from being children, and let me get over here so I can see the chat room. They've taken us from being children to being strangers to some impersonal God. And it's the great lie that has caused us to be in the place that we are right now, and to caused us to be in the condition that we are right now, and is stealing from us our very birthright. Literally stealing from us our very birthright. So I'm going to get over here where I can see your questions a little bit. If this thing hurries up. So our intrinsic connection with our Father and Mother has been hidden under the veil of a detached God. And that, of course, is very bad for us. We don't want it to be, and we certainly don't want to allow it to become our reality. Come on, man. All right, and we certainly don't want to allow it to become our reality. Please do hit the like button. It is stealing our divinity. You're absolutely 100% right on that. It is stealing our divinity. Let me make this a little bigger so I can see it. And we'll be off and running. So God is not detached. We just think he is because he has succeeded in divorcing us from the reality that we have a mother and father that are God, divine, and that we ourselves are baby gods or baby divinities, as I like to say, Elohim in training. And as you can see, don't tell me none of my other highlighting took. Oh, here we go. Good. So the term gospel, literally translated, does mean good news. And have you ever wondered why, if the message of the Christ was good news, we are baby gods, capital Gods, baby gods, gods in training. And if gospel means good news, which it literally does, why does religion give us such condemnation? Why does religious give us such threats of hell and destruction? Why does religious teaching tell us that if we don't believe the way they do exactly, that we will ultimately fail? What kind of a parent wants to condemn its child? What kind of a parent wants to destroy its child? What kind of a parent wants to cause your children to ultimately fail? No matter how much you dislike your child, are you ever really going to throw your child into a lake of fire and let them burn forever and forever and forever and forever? I'm thinking that you would never do that. And what we have to understand is that this world that we're in, we're here, we have a Father and Mother God. They put us here. They don't want us to fail. Cha Edwin, that's the whole point. The rat bastard wants us to fail. And they are our parents. And they placed us in this world, and this world is like the potting soil of our destiny. It's a place for us to grow. It's a place for us to sprout. It's a place for us to develop. We are here for a purpose. But the purpose has nothing to do with what we are. It has to do with what we're becoming. We're too fixed on what we are. We're too fixed on this life. We're too fixed on this body. We're too fixed on this social order. And that's not what we're here for. We're not here to learn about this necessarily. We're here to prepare ourselves to become. That's why we have to learn about death, and we have to learn about how to navigate after death. They are our parents. The message of Christ is good news, and it is the rat bastard that uses sadistic crucifixion to be the core submission in order to be a good Christian. The message of Christ is a revelation, and the Christ was a person. I hate to disagree with 7 stars, but the Christ, I believe, was a person, the Word, who manifests here in flesh. But it's not about being here. It's about becoming what we need to be here so we can move on and grow and become more. We're not talking about ifs and whens, Tyreek. We're talking about solid stuff, and it takes a little bit to learn it. So, and if you don't like what I'm teaching, you don't have to stay, but you can state your opinion, but I'm not going to let you hijack the discussion, so keep that in mind. Well, the Christ was born of the flesh, I believe 100%. We are the very offspring of the very Creator and its essence. We are the offspring of mother and father divinity. We're the offspring. We are the literal babies of the gods, and they are expecting us to grow up into gods. And if you are expecting anything less of yourself, then you are selling yourself short. And if that's too much for you to believe, maybe if you stay tuned, you'll be able to find out. Cha Edwin just had a crazy shift right now in the chat room when we're speaking. Bam. See, yes, Christ did not have any parents on earth. He came as a grown man. Have you ever wondered why most of the parables that the Christ taught were all connected to planting the seeds and harvesting? Just about all of them were harvesting parables. Just about all of them were seed parables. Why? Because this whole thing is about us growing. He didn't have any children. He didn't have any parents. He came as a full-grown man. John told us he came as a full-grown man. You're buying the lies of Paul and the rat bastard if you believe that he had parents and that he was born in the manger, just like 1,000 other gods that predated him. Those who commit suicide come straight back here and do it all over again. So if you're thinking about committing suicide to get out of this life, don't do it. You're going to come back as a baby. You are, ladies and gentlemen, each one of you, one of the children of the Father and Mother from before the foundations of the world. One of the children of the Father and Mother from before the foundations of the world. That's who you are. That's what you are. And you're here metaphorically planted to grow, to sprout, develop, and to be harvested as you move on. Prashni, it is very hard to explain this to people who are so brainwashed and people who are so rock-headed. It is hard, but that doesn't mean we're going to stop doing it. You know, Mark Twain said it's much easier to fool someone than to convince them that they've been fooled. So that doesn't mean we're going to stop trying. We're going to keep doing it. We're going to keep pressing on. Think of it this way. The Word is Christ. And the Word is the one who became Christ. The Word was an Elohim. And he became Christ, who walked in the flesh for a certain amount of time here. And the good seed is the Word. The Word is Christ, and the good seeds are his Word that get planted in us. The two are united. The seed is the Word, and the Word is the seed. Check that out. Think about that. Ponder that. I thought I highlighted a lot more of this. I'm just hoping that it's kept all of my highlights and that we're not blowing through a lot of good stuff. There we are. The Christ is the first seed among many seeds. He's the sower of the seed, if you will. We're a family. And just like any mother and father, they conceive and they bear offspring, they're creating a family dynasty, or a lineage. So we are a family. You are father and mother. You are child of a father and mother that are divine, just as real as you are children of your earthly father and mother. You are just as much their child as you are the child of your earthly parents. Do not kill yourself. It won't solve anything. You'll just come back. Don't give up hope. Hang in there. You can make it. There's people here that are supporting you. But, folks, warning, ladies and gentlemen, there is another sower and another seed bearer along with other seeds. Yes, the Elohim, our mother, father, have planted us here in this world, But there is someone else that's sowing. There is someone else that is sowing different seed, and there is other seed that is sprouting, and we are here with other seed. Keep that in mind. It's very, very important as we move on. An enemy called the adversary, called the Satan, called Lucifer, called the devil, called Satan. This enemy is coming and planting different seeds right next to the newly planted virtuous seeds. He's actually planting a substitute seed. You know about the tares and the wheat. A tare is a weed, and they're a type like a virus. They can choke and kill the good plants and stop them from producing or growing. So when you wonder, why are these people in my life that are causing me so much trouble? Very likely they are tares. Very likely they are weeds, and they're here to stop you from producing, to stop you from growing, and it's up to you to stop them from stopping you by not allowing them to affect you. Well, Jeff, they make me so mad. No, they do not actually. They do things that you choose to get mad at in response. When the good seeds were planted, some nefarious enemy called the adversary came along and planted different seeds alongside the original seed. So there's us and there's other people like us, but they're fake us. And of course, the question is, why doesn't the father and mother just get rid of these tares? Like Deborah just asked, weed your garden. Well, there's more to it than that, because in the early stages, it's very hard to tell the difference between the two plants. And it's not until the harvest that you can clearly recognize the alteration that another seed was planted among the original seeds. So when the seeds come up, when the plants come up initially, they look very much alike. So that tells us that there are people here that are not of the seed of the Elohim. There are people here that are not of the seed of the Christ, but they look like us. They sound like us. They smell like us. CS says this is very true as a gardener. And it's not until they grow and develop until you can judge them by their fruits to know and to recognize what seeds are planted among you. I think this is really the key when Christ said, don't be unequally yoked together with non-believers. Of course, we thought that means don't date people that don't date someone that smokes, drinks, or chew, or hangs out with those that do. Don't date somebody that's not a Baptist. Don't date somebody that's not Assemblies of God. Don't date somebody that's not Mormon. Don't date somebody that's not Jehovah's Witness. Don't date somebody that's not what you are. I think what Christ was telling us was, look, man, be careful. You could find yourself yoked together. You could find yourself married or in a relationship or having sex with someone that is a bad seed. Literally, they're the seed of the enemy. And some of you, Dragon Breeder, I'm going to pull that out because that is wrong and very, very horrible. Do not commit suicide. It's nowhere. It is not only, it's a fast track only to a one-way ticket back, and it's never going to help you. I can't allow that. I just can't allow that to go unchallenged in the chat room. Let me make it clear. Suicide is bad. Suicide is not helpful. If you kill yourself, you are not getting out of anything. You will come back right away as a baby and do it all over again. So killing yourself doesn't save you anything. It just creates a bigger problem. And you're going to go round and round and round until you solve the problems. Do not kill yourself. I can't say that with any more of a forceful thought. I just can't say that. I can't say that any harder. It doesn't look like I have any moderators today, so I want to put a couple people in where they can be moderators and kind of maybe ride herd on this, so I don't have to worry so much about it. So there you go. In the early stages, you can't tell the difference between the plants. And it's only after they grow. All right, Silver Wind Hurricane, guess what? You get a little freaking timeout for being jerky. It's just that simple. Why would you want to do that? I don't understand. Thank you, Jen Fisher. I don't understand that. Why does someone want to be rude and nasty? It doesn't make any sense to me. Nor does it make any sense to me why this thing isn't working for me. Okay. All right. So be careful thank you, Jen. Be careful who you get yourself yoked up to. Be careful who you get yourself yoked up to. Be careful who you get yourself yoked up to. Could you imagine being married to someone that is a bad seed? Could you imagine being married to someone who's a bad weed? Now, the mystery of the parable is being revealed in this instance that the two seeds, although vastly different in origin and DNA, appear identical. One can't tell the difference. That's the mystery. And that's why people say, Jeff, why do you give people so much room in the chat room? Why don't you just ban them right off? Well, because I don't know if they are possibly good seed that are just trying to learn, that are fighting, or if they're bad seed sometimes, because they look a lot alike. Now, when the father and mother bring forth the new seed, it's planted in the earth in this three-dimensional realm within the human body. We are all seeds. Thank you, Mercury 7. I appreciate that. We're all seeds. And after the father and mother seeded this earth, and literally after, Genesis 1:26 and 27 talks about how the Elohim seeded this earth with us. And then after that, Genesis chapter 2, the enemy came along, who is the rat bastard. And for you that are new, the Lord, Yahweh, Jehovah, Marduk, he came. Jeff is a farce. Well, guess what, Silver Wind Hurricane? You're blocked. During this time, the enemy came and planted their seed. Foreign seeds. Seeds that don't belong to the true sower of seeds, yet that look identical as to begin to grow together with the original seed. And I can't make this strong enough. You don't want to get yourself linked up. Thank you, Spirit Wind Radio. I appreciate that very, very much. You don't want to get yourself linked up with one of these bad seeds, one of these weed seeds. And I agree with the author that the importance of this parable cannot be underestimated. Any plant that is not cultivated doesn't bring forth fruit. And it gets toiled back under the earth. It goes back into the ground and gets recycled. Remember, I've talked about this before. When you leave this earth, when you leave this body, the things that fall off of you, the things that aren't fit to go on to the next level, fall and get fertilized. So too, or fall and get ground up into powder, turned into fertilizer, as it were, for the astral realm. So too for these people that are impure seed. Now the question comes, are these actual people, or are these like soulless people? I don't know. We'll get to that. We'll think about that. We'll talk about that. We'll look at that. Greetings from Australia, Teresa. And we become ready via the cycles of rebirth. But here's the thing, that Christ came to show us how to do this in one single human lifetime. That's the key. That is the key, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. This is hugely important information. Death is really life, and life is really death. So what we're living here is really not life. What we're living here is even more death. It's almost, because a seed has to die before it can be born. We're almost here to unlearn. We're almost here to learn who we are. And this really is a dying so we can be born into life. Can the soulless gain a soul? That's a great question, Chris. And unfortunately, I tend to agree with you. I don't want to hold out. I don't want to turn off all hope, but I tend to agree with you. I don't believe that they can. I don't believe that they can, except in rare occurrences. So listen to this. Death is living in this world we call life, and life is a place we call death. We die via the process of coming here. And then we gain the opportunity to get back into life. If we do not or have not produced fruit, we're sent back again to undergo the process all over again. This gets to the suicide question. If you don't learn the process of life, you got to come back until you do learn the process of life. It's just that simple. It's deep, but it's simple. Now, the secondary sower, interesting, Jen. The secondary sower, the planter of the false seed, is what is called Lucifer, God, Satan. Now, get this, ladies and gentlemen. This is powerful. And again, I didn't write this. The terms God and Satan are interchangeable. They both represent a false power. And this is true because the being that you call God, the God of the Bible, is really the Satan, the adversary of the Christ. We have undergone such a mind warp, such a mind coitus, that the being that we call God, that we worship as God, really is the devil. The being that we were taught to worship and that they sing songs about and that Christianity is all geared towards, that God is really Satan, really the adversary, really the devil. The Bible is a book written to worship the devil, but he calls himself God. Wow. How about that? Well, Misty, if you want to learn so you don't come back, you've come to the right place. I don't think there's many places on the earth today that you can learn this. Who is Jesus' Father? Jesus was not real. Jesus is not a real person, never was a real person. Jesus is not a real person. And the Word is an Elohim, the Christ. He doesn't have a father unless you're talking about the original mother, father that we have as well. So the Bible is the Word of God, but that God is really the Satan, the adversary. Let me see if there's any questions. The Christ consciousness, well, the Christ is real, and I guess getting in touch with him would be the Christ consciousness. What other names are there to address our divine parents? See, yes, there's not really any names. Father, mother, inexpressible ones, however you choose to worship them. The real God is the real God. The real God is the inexpressible one. The real God is the divine Father and Mother. We are so easy to, we think everything has to be easy and understandable for us. When Would you really want to serve a God that was easy and understandable? T.W. Whitten, you're onto something. We may choose this experience. We may indeed choose this experience. We may indeed choose this experience. I think all the Bible is, like I said, 80% wrong, any and all of the Bibles. So, as we move on with these deep, deep thoughts, with these paradigm shifting thoughts, the word of Christ, the words of the Christ, the word that the Christ came to give to us is the direct communication and connection from the father and mother to us, their offspring. And here's a key. You hear me say it all the time. It's not external, it's internal. If you hear with your ears a message from God, you have not heard a message from God. Let me say that again. If you hear with your ears a message from God, you have not heard a message from God. That's why all the crazy people say, I heard God tell me to do it. God spoke to me through the dog. I heard the word of the Lord to do this. If you hear the word of the divine, you have not heard the word of the divine. You do hear the words of God, who is Satan, who is the devil, who is the adversary. Of course, it's plural gods. Elohim, in the beginning, God. Fourth word in the Bible. Understand it. Look it up. It means plural gods and goddesses. I can't make this any stronger. That's what I was thinking about, Jen. If you hear God speak to you, it's the devil, it's Satan, it's the adversary. The Elohim and up, the God of the Elohim, the illimitable one, whatever you would call them, they don't speak. It's intuition. It's knowing. You get a message. You get a word. You don't hear a word. If you hear, you're not hearing from the divine. If you hear, you're hearing from something less than the divine. And if it is impersonating the divine, wow. And I didn't write this, when the word is spoken, it's spoken into the heart and mind and soul of the children. Yes, the Elohim have a creator. It's not written on the papyrus, stone, or rock. It's written in the testament of your soul, the testament of your seed, and the word is coated with all true seed. So it's not spoken. I just need to hear a message from God. That's because you're lazy and you're a baby. You don't need to hear a message from God. You need to receive a message from the divine. You need to receive a message from the divine. Words are not of the divine. If you hear it, it's not from the divine. Wayne Steiger says all the time, words are one of the most inefficient means of communication. And he's right. The divine do not use them. We have the father and mother. We have the Christ who was an Elohim. And we have us, the seeds, the children of the harvest. And you've got to get this. This has got to get down on the inside. If the father and mother want to speak to you, they speak through your soul. Because it's that seed, that spark of divinity, is what they speak to. Now, here's a great question. What if you're not of the seed of the father and the mother? What if you're not of the seed of the father and the mother? Then you'll reject the father and the mother. And you'll follow another one that brought in an artificial spirit along with a foreign seed, simply saying, you won't care. Thus, when the word comes into our hearts and minds, someone's going to try to steal it away and pervert it. The people that follow the rat bastard, the people that follow he that shall not be named, are not of the seed of the father and mother. They're not of the seed of the father and mother. And they try to steal away the word that is implanted in you. Now, focus a little bit, and please don't try to start your own teaching in the chat room. We're trying to stay on this teaching right now. Today, we believe that the word is the Bible. Christians teach that the word is the Bible. The Bible's the word. The Bible's the word of God. Well, that's true, but remember, God is Satan, is the adversary. So the word is not the Bible. The word of the divine is not the Bible. The word of God, the false God, is the Bible. It's the lie. It's the false encoding. But our belief that the Bible is the word of the divine is central to the lie and the false encoding that seems to want to tear us down. When the enemy came, he planted bad seed next to good seed. He created confusion. He set himself up as the creator and God and declared that he was jealous, which is the sin of pride. Do you know that in the Bible, the God of the Bible declares that he is jealous over 30 times? The God of the Bible declares that he is jealous over 30 times. Would you, Preshni, Sarah, Deborah, 7 stars, would you take a spouse that told you 30 times they were jealous? No, you wouldn't. So why do you worship a God that says he's jealous? Why do you worship a God that says he's jealous? Why do you worship a God that says he's jealous? Why do you do that? And if you do get with someone that's jealous, you know how terrible it is. This same God of the Bible says there were no other gods before them. Why is he declaring there's no other gods before him? Because he doesn't want you to think there's any other gods. But he doesn't want you to know that there's other gods, and he doesn't want you to know that there's an other source. He doesn't want you to know there's a greater source. The one who claims to be God, we're talking about the rat bastard, was rejected by the council of the Elohim and the father and mother because he tried to create his own kingdom and declare that he was the only God and there was none other. He got kicked out of the council of the Elohim. He then said, I'm the only God, knowing that there's other gods, and the Christ said he's been a liar from the beginning. So he's setting up a parallel kingdom. And it's time that we finally understand this. Listen to this. The name God does not represent the true father and mother divinities in any sense or form of its being. The term God represents rebellion against the divine parents as one trying to glorify and take homage unto himself as a jealous entity. We should purge the word God from our collective memories. We should purge the word God from our lips. The term God does not represent the divine parents. The term God, the God is the one trying to glorify and take away honor and divinity from the parents and take away our seed of truth. And he's the jealous entity. So think of that. Oh, I just love God. You got to stop loving God and you got to start loving the divine parents. If you can get your mind wrapped around the fact that God is the bad guy, it'll change your life. It'll change your life. This false God is offering a false kingdom that does not belong to the father and mother. He's mixing truth and error to create confusion, and he's doing a great job. So remember, There's two seeds planted, good seed from the father, mother, bad seed by the enemy. And it contains some good and evil. It's a mixture. It's a misrepresentation. It's a trick. The adversary is trying to disrupt our connection to the father and mother. And if he can disrupt that connection, then he can sneak in and try to rule over us by combining us together with the bad seed to make a new seed. Oh, do you get that? Do you get that? This is deep. I should stop right there, but I want to go on and give you a little bit more. Genesis 3:22. And the Lord God, whenever you see Lord God, whenever you see Lord God, whenever you see Lord, that's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. And the Lord God said, behold, man has become one of us, knowing good and evil. What happened in the Garden of Eden, be it metaphorical, be it literal, however you choose to believe it, what happened in the garden is that the true seeds, us, we were seduced, we were tricked, we were removed from our divine heritage to follow a fallen God who planted his own word and children among the good seed to create an internal confusion. How many times have I told you, ladies and gentlemen, that in the garden we were tricked into these mud hut bodies? I didn't write this, even though it seems like I did. We were seduced, we were tricked, we were removed from our divine heritage and trapped into these meat suit mud hut bodies. This God that tricked us is the God of good and evil, the God of confusion, the God of war, the God of vindictiveness, the God of vengeance, the God of wrath, the God of jealousy, none of which are characteristics of the divine parents. Who wants to serve a God that's evil and good, a God that's full of confusion, a God that's a warring God, vindictive, vengeful, wrathful, jealous? Who wants to worship that kind of a God? Well, apparently you and me, because we've been doing it since we were knee-high to grasshoppers, and we've been doing it as a collective consciousness for 2,000 years. Get this. This will blow your mind, and we'll end on this. Christ told us over and over and over, by your fruit you will know them. But we always think about that as people. What if the Christ was talking to us about knowing who's really divine? If you could know what kind of people were, if you could know what kind of people were by their fruits, can't you also know what kind of God a God is by their fruits? Don't you think you could tell what kind of person a God is by that God or goddess's fruits? Think about that. This is deep right here. The Bible is not the word. The Bible is the Babel. Babel means confusion. The Bible blends both truth and error together. It's the family lineage of the tree of good and evil. Check that out. That's a heavy revy right there. That's a big revelation. The Bible is Babel. The Bible is confusion. The Bible blends both good and error, diamond and dung. And it is the family lineage of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. The Bible goes back to the tree of good and evil. The Bible is the literary expression of the tree of good and evil. Bam, 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 bam. That's why we're tricked into accepting the word in replacement for the father and mother that was encoded within the true seeds. We don't listen for the messages from on high anymore because we think we can open up some book and read them. Not true, my friends. And again, I didn't write this. You can't take the entire Bible as the word because it's been laced with poison at every angle. It's a mixture of both good and evil. If you drink it all, you will die, and you will not be able to access the tree of life. This is the knowledge of the tree of good and evil, and it will keep you from the tree of life if you eat it. This is the forbidden fruit right here. Who judges you when your life ends? Who says you get judged when your life ends? Who says you get judged when your life ends? I'll throw that back to you. If you eat this fruit of good and evil, all of it, you will not be able to access the tree of life. The Bible was created to trick you and to deceive you into following a false god. And if you don't believe that, listen to I think the last message I did. What was the last message I did? Let's take a look at that. The last message I did was, let's look at the Jeff Darty YouTube channel. What was the last message I did? The last message I did was, oh, look, Jeff's live right now with this Divine Secret Garden #2. No, it wasn't the last message I did. It was this one, Bible Psyop. Watch this Bible Psyop. Is the Bible the ultimate psyop? And you will see exactly why and how, without any doubt, to an objective mind that is able to think independently, why the Bible was designed to deceive you. It is the ultimate, the Bible is the tree of good and evil. The Bible is the tree of good and evil. It was created to trick you and deceive you. Christ told us, and let me just show you where he told us, so if you're new, you won't think I'm making this up. What did Christ say? He said, you are of your father the devil, and the lust of your father you do. He was a murderer from the beginning and abode not in the truth. There's no truth in him. When he speaks a lie, he speaks of his own, for he is a liar and the father of all lies. But yet, because the Christ told us the truth, we didn't believe him. Christ didn't pull any punches. He told the people of that day that the God they were serving was not the Father, but was Satan. He can't be any clearer. When I say that, I get called an antichrist. What do you say when the Christ says it? It's important to grasp the fact that the Christ was speaking to the high priest of the day, the religious powers. And he revealed it to them that his father, the Christ, was not the God of those priests, but that their God was Satan, the devil. And here's the question that was asked in the chat room, and we're going to wrap it up with this. Jesus said, the Christ said, Jesus wasn't real. I don't like that he uses Jesus. The Christ said that you will know them by their fruits. Satan is the God of war and warfare. Satan is the God of wrath and jealousy and disharmony. What are those fruits of? What is the fruit of killing? What is the fruit of jealousy? What is the fruit of wrath? What is the fruit of disharmony? Those are fruits of darkness, are they not? The God of the Old Testament said himself that he was jealous, wrathful, vindictive, vengeful, and plotted against his enemies. These are not now, nor have they ever been, fruits of the Spirit. These are not now and never have been the fruit of the Spirit. The father and mother of the true divinity are not jealous. They don't seek our worship. If anything wants you to worship it, it's not a God. If anything wants you to pray to it, it's not a God. If anything wants you to bow down to it, it's not a God. Gods don't want worship. Gods don't want your prayers. Gods don't want you to worship them. They're not jealous. They want you to be their children, not their serfs, not their peasants. They love their own children. They love their own children. You will know them by their fruit. Look at the fruit of the Bible, God. And you tell me, is his fruit wicked or is his fruit evil? Take all the time you need. It shouldn't take very long. A quick run through the chat room. I've tried to keep an eye on it, but haven't been able to totally. Jesus is not real. It would be harder for me to understand if I hadn't been listening to Jeff. Thank you. Don't go towards the light. Don't. I wonder what's in the vault, the one that holds the seeds. Interesting. Jesus was invented by the Romans. How does one address the true divine parents? However you think is best for you. The Old Testament was about Satan because of sacrifices. You were right about that. Who's the real God? The real God is the real God. God created the Elohim, and the Elohim created us. Exactly right. Well, not God, remember? The divine created the Elohim, and the Elohim created us. The Elohim threw God out. The Elohim are the divine. I think that people that say that it's selfish for us to leave and not come back to help the rest don't understand what they're saying. We choose everything in this life. I agree. The Elohim do have a creator. That's the inexpressible ones. Who is the devil? God is the devil. The being you know as God is the devil. Thank you, Mercury 7. You'll see me on channel 27 again. You know, why do we, fifth dimension, fourth dimension, third dimension? The Elohim created this world. They created us. We're baby Elohim. The inexpressible ones created them. Leave it at that. Satan does mean the accuser. Satan is equivalent to the being that we've always worshiped as God. Suicide is blatantly BS. Thank you, Chris. I don't know who you're talking to, but it is blatantly BS. No, I'm not a God-fearing man. Why would I fear God? God's a little pansy. And why would I fear my parents? Do I fear my dad? No. Do I fear my mom? No. Why would I fear the divine? Of course I don't fear the divine. I love the divine. I'm one with the divine. I'm becoming like the divine. No, I'm not I don't fear my mother and father, and I certainly don't fear this little failed, fallen pipsqueak, can't do his own wet work, sorry excuse for a little g God. No, I don't fear him. No, I don't fear him. And I'm his huckleberry. That's just my game. Say when. No, I do not. You're right, Teresa. My God is selfish about me. Well, then your God is not the real God. Well, he is the real God, but you're not worshiping the true divinity then. I won't worship a God who demanded a parent kill a child. Good for you, Spirit Wind Radio. Why would God be jealous? Everything Jeff says makes sense. Of course it does. Oh, these questions have always plagued me. That's because you have a very sharp brain, Prashni, and they can't fool you. Isn't jealousy considered a sin? Yeah. Didn't the God of the Bible say several times he's jealous? Yeah. Doesn't that make him a sinner? Yeah. Now you're starting to get it, ladies and gentlemen. If we're not born of original sin, is there still sin? Well, there's still sin. I need to do another teaching about that. It's been a while. Sin is karmic transfer, and it's put on us by other people. Then we have to cleanse ourselves of it. My stomach just turned. That's how it feels when you're starting to learn the truth. It just resonates. Truth, great. Are the bad seeds of Nephilim? Don't know, don't care. Hearing voices, you don't want to hear voices. Just know if you hear voices, it's not the divine. Bible, babble. That's right. Who judges you when your life ends? How do you know you get judged when your life ends? I see impressions inside my mind. There you go. Jealous means you're not ready to rule. Absolutely. That's why you should be evicted. How many times I've said, I don't know what he's talking about. My mom told me, don't be jealous. Jealousy is a cruel and debilitating disease. My internet connection is fine. It's all green. How do you deal with flat earthers? I don't. Done with flat earthers. I don't discuss it anymore because it's circuitous nonsense. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. That was good stuff. Deep stuff. Not easy to understand. Doesn't the best lie have the most truth? Yeah. Just a spectator. Good stuff. Good stuff. So that's all the questions. I appreciate you being here. I hope that you will begin to be your own guru. I hope that you will begin to guide your own spirit. I hope that you'll begin to master your own ascension. I hope that you will ask yourself, has the world gone crazy, or have you? And take appropriate action. But remember this, there's no original sin, just a spark of divinity within. That's why you should love yourself and love your neighbor, because they have the same thing. That's why the Christ wanted us to be excellent to each other. Could we do the rods tonight? Thank you, Prashni. Yeah, we could do the rods tonight. So sorry. Are you are you a bad seed? I don't know if you're a bad seed. Is Cha Edwin a bad seed? The rods don't think so. My aunt has rods. Excellent. Prashni loves the rods. Do you have a question for the rods, Prashni? Well, Mark Twain said it, there never was a priest, there never would have been an infidel. Is this CS's last incarnation? The rods say yes. Do all humans have serpent DNA? Yes, of course they do. Does Tariq Ali have good intentions? Sort of, yeah, pretty much, for the most part. Prashni, am I going to a better place after death? Yes. Are there 33 chakras? No. Is there a man 2,800 years old? No. Is Archangel Michael here on earth now? No. There's a lot of fakers that want to say they're Archangel Michael. That's a good question. Does good and evil exist in all dimensions? No. Very good questions. Very good questions. Got any more? Well, are the rods biased? Of course they're going to say no. Does tricks or truth have an understanding of reality? Maybe you should work on that a little bit. Is this Tracy's first incarnation on earth? No. Is Gabriel here on earth? No. Are fallen angels present here on earth? No. You're welcome, Prashni. Did Carmen just find out who her spiritual mother and father are? Yes. Show me yes. Show me no. Okay. Is Mercury 7 a new soul? No. Is the reincarnation loop alien tech? No. Prashni, am I in a relationship I should get out of? This says yes. Sorry about that, Prashni. Seems like it'd be whoever you're in a relationship with should be taking better care of you. I don't think my aura is gray, with all due respect, but thank you for the suggestion. Do we have guardian angels? Is the Pope evil? Yeah. Is it possible to absorb energy from the good source? Yeah. Was Buddha enlightened? Yeah. Is Christine an old soul? Yeah. Is my aura really gray? No. Should I make this trip? Chris asks. Yes. Are there people living on Mars now? No. Is this the net the fish is seeking? No. Am I going to make millions and help Jeffrey spread the truth to the world? Damn. Are the 7 billion people here the same souls that have always been here? No. Were the California fires caused by energy weapons? No. Will Nathan find a good job soon? I don't know. Will Jen Fisher get her rods tomorrow? No, they were mailed out. They said they should be there by Monday, so that's interesting. Will Jen Fisher get her rods tomorrow? Says no. Is Jeff my net? I don't like the idea of being somebody's net. Is Jeff's are a silver instead of gray? That's weird. Is Jeff's are a silver instead of gray? Yeah, but it's something that's really probably not silver either. Would Prashni make a good astrologer? Yes. Can we all heal ourselves? Yes. Will Mercury 7 get life back on track and find love in the future? Yes. Does every soul have a star in the sky? No. I'm not sure what that means. I do send them the cheap way, Jen, so it takes a minute. Is the queen evil? Whoa, it said no, very hard. Is the queen evil? No. Huh. I don't like to ask sports questions because I don't want people to go betting and then blame it on me. Even though I placed a bet based on the rods. One more. Are we gods and goddesses? Yes, we are. Is NASA hiding things from us in the universe and on the dark side of the moon? Yes. All right, folks, I appreciate your time. It's been awesome. I got to go watch The Mummy now. I saw it once. I'm going to see it again. Because even when I'm doing entertainment, I like to kind of watch something and learn something. So, exactly. And what queen are you talking about? That was exactly what I thought, Jen. You and me thinking alike. All right, folks. Thank you for being here. We appreciate you. No original sin. Spark of divinity within. Love your neighbor. Love yourself. Vice versa. That's why Christ said, like Ben and Jerry. Like it wasn't Ben and Jerry. Who was it? Bill and Ted. Be excellent to each other. And stay fearless, my friends.